Hello again. So in the last lesson, we covered basic compositing techniques and how to render out AOVs from Cinema 4D. So doing so affords you tons of flexibility when it comes to adjusting aspects such as shadows, glows, and depth of field in post. Well, now it's your time to create a short animation demonstrating your understanding of AOVs. So what I'd like you to do is take my office scene and add your own personal touch to it. You can incorporate your own models or change the entire layout. Just make sure that your scene is well lit and composed, and make sure you include a smooth camera move using that 2-node camera setup. So once you've set up your scene and lit it up, you'll need to set up your AOV render passes. So these should include all the same AOV passes that I used in the lesson. Just remember to disable depth of field and motion blur in your camera and render settings to avoid baking those things in. Then you're going to render out the animation as a 32-bit multi-layer EXR. The project file animation length is going to be set to 5 seconds at 24 frames per second, so retain those settings. And if your computer is slower, feel free to render at a lower resolution instead of that 1080p setup that I used. So after you're done rendering, after you're done setting up those AOVs, you're going to import everything into After Effects. So here you're going to add your glows, you're going to do some color correction, and include motion blur and depth of field blur. And when you're finished, render an MP4 of your composited animation and another of your render before compositing and submit both. So just make sure you've set up your After Effects render correctly in the render queue and use that RGB display ACES 1.0 in that render queue. So to recap, you're going to use my office scene or create your own and render an EXR sequence that includes AOVs. Then you're going to import your EXR sequence into After Effects, composite all your AOVs together, do some color correction, add your vignette, add your blurs, add your glows, and finally render an MP4 of your composited animation and another of your render before compositing and submit both. So that's it. Good luck, and I'm excited to see your interpretation of the office desk scene. I hope it's not as messy as mine.